She exposed their secrets. She broke their silence, but the machine her father died fighting still breathes. Now, Harper Lane must finish what he started. One man stands in her way, the ghost who erased her father. Will she take the shot, or will she choose something even more dangerous? Mercy. If you followed Harper's journey from the beginning, this is the chapter you can't miss. Hit subscribe to join the community and support powerful, story-driven content like this. And stay to the end, because this isn't just an ending, it's a statement. A week after the last shot echoed through Hawthorne, Harper Lane was gone. No goodbyes, no live streams, no ceremony. She vanished like her father once did, quietly, completely, and with purpose. The world believed her story was over, but somewhere beyond Nevada's dry hills and scorched runways, it had just begun. The envelope had arrived without sound, no stamp, no sender. Inside, a single photograph. Rourke, alive, older, leaner, sitting at a steel table beneath an airstrip's shade tarp, shaking hands with a man in a black suit with no name, no rank, no insignia. The second item in the envelope, a bullet, etched along the brass casing, worn but unmistakable. TL, her father's initials, a message, a challenge, a threat. Harper sat in the shadows of an abandoned ranger station, scanning the valley below with a monocular. 2,000 meters out, a private airstrip carved into government-owned land, unmarked on maps. Guards in desert camouflage circled the perimeter, armed but too relaxed. They weren't expecting a threat. But Harper Lane wasn't a threat. She was a reckoning. Her Garand rifle lay across her knees, clean, silent, waiting. She had watched them for 4 days. Rourke never stayed long. In and out. Always alone, always early. He was retiring. Disappearing from the machine he had spent decades protecting. He'd already trained replacements, already burned files, already erased Harper's father like a typo in a report. But he hadn't erased her, not yet. The wind shifted. Harper adjusted her breath. She wasn't just planning a shot, she was planning the moment before. Because that moment, before the trigger, before the blast, before the silence, was where choices lived. And this wasn't just a kill shot, it was the death of a ghost. Suddenly, her earpiece buzzed, a scrambled frequency. 3 words broke through the static. "Don't do it." Harper froze. The voice was her father's, but that was impossible. She tore the earpiece out, heart slamming against her ribs. No one knew this channel, no one. Except the man who had programmed her father's old gear, the man she was about to kill. Rourke. At exactly 6:43 he stepped into view, same tactical jacket, same calm, calculated gait. He stood beneath the tarp, lifted a cup of coffee, and looked out toward the valley, as if he knew she was watching. Harper adjusted her scope. Breath in. Hold, exhale half. Finger to trigger. Then she saw it. A scar. Low on his wrist. It matched one in a photo she once found in her father's locker. An old photo. 2 men laughing in a jungle. Brothers in arms. The second man. Rourke. And suddenly, Harper knew the truth. Her father hadn't just confronted Rourke. He had once trusted him. They hadn't been enemies from the start. But something had turned one into a martyr, the other into a ghost. Harper's breath hitched. The final shot wasn't just about justice now. It was about understanding who her father was, and what kind of person she would become if she took the shot. She stood slowly, left the rifle where it lay. The wind carried her footsteps back toward the truck. No bullet, no sound, just the end of the beginning. And a question only Rourke could answer. Why? Rourke knew the wind too well. As he stood beneath the morning sun with his coffee, he didn't glance at the ridge, but he felt it. Felt the silence, the weight, the decision that hadn't been made yet. And when the shot didn't come, when the air didn't split, when death didn't arrive as expected, he smiled. "She's here," he muttered. Then he turned, walked to his Jeep, and drove off the runway like a man heading toward the end of something. 3 hours later, Harper was waiting. She had followed at a distance. No GPS, no electronics, just the kind of instinct you only inherit from soldiers who never got a second shot. Rourke parked outside an abandoned safe house on the edge of a canyon near Red Rock. She waited until the wind died down. Then she stepped out of her truck, slung her Garand across her back, and walked up the gravel path with nothing but questions. Rourke opened the door before she knocked. "You left the shot," he said. "You left the truth," Harper replied. Inside, the place was stripped to concrete. No photos, no maps, just an old ammo box used as a table and a battered chair. Rourke sat. "Why now?" Harper asked. He didn't answer immediately, just looked at her, not as a threat, but as something he hadn't expected. A mirror. "I trained your father," he said finally, "before either of you had names that mattered." Harper blinked. "He never told me that." "He wouldn't," Rourke said, "because I failed him." They sat in silence for a long time. Then he continued. "We were on an op overseas, blacklisted, no insignia. He found a kill order targeting someone who didn't belong on that list. He refused, walked out, said he wouldn't murder a civilian just because a senator wanted a problem erased." "You stayed?" Harper asked. "I hesitated," Rourke said. "And hesitation means you're part of it." Harper stood. "So you covered it up." Rourke didn't flinch. "I let the agency believe he was unstable. They took it from there." She stared at him, heart pounding. "My father vanished because you let them erase him." "No," Rourke said. "He vanished because he believed he had to. You were 10. If he stayed, you would have been next." He reached into a duffel and tossed her something. A flash drive. Harper caught it, turned it over. No markings, no encryption. "What is it?" "Everything," Rourke said. "Every file, every operation, every name. It'll burn down what's left of that machine, if you choose to light it." "And what about you?" Rourke leaned back. "I'm already dead. You just didn't pull the trigger." For a long moment, Harper stared at him. She could end it now. One pull, no witnesses. Her father's ghost would nod in approval. Maybe. But then she remembered something else her father taught her. Don't become the thing you're trying to destroy. So she walked to the door, stopped, looked back. "Why me?" she asked. "Why not burn it yourself?" Rourke smiled, and for once it wasn't sharp. "Because I was trained to erase things. You? You were trained to remember." As Harper drove back into the desert, dust swirling in her rearview mirror, she didn't know what would happen next. But she did know this. The truth no longer lived in shadows. It was now in her hands, and the war wasn't over. Not yet. Harper didn't go back to Hawthorne. She didn't go back anywhere. Instead, she disappeared into the grid the same way her father once had, off record, off radar, and with a single goal: make the truth louder than the bullet she didn't fire. She rented a cabin in the Rockies under a false name. No digital trail, no friends, no allies, just her and the flash drive. She sat on the floor beside a rusted space heater, staring at the simple, blinking cursor on her laptop. The files weren't locked, but what was inside was worse than she'd imagined. Black ops logs, assassination protocols disguised as training exercises, a full roster of Hawthorne graduates, snipers placed in embassies, security firms, private defense groups. Some of them had already taken lives. Silently, legally, all under one banner, Silent Solutions Initiative. And at the top of the chain of command, a name she had only seen once before, Senator Grayson Voss. The same man who had given her father the kill order he refused. The same man now running for Vice President of the United States. She closed the laptop. The air felt heavier. She didn't feel powerful. She felt radioactive. One wrong move and the same machine that erased her father would erase her too. Harper didn't sleep that night. Instead, she drafted a letter. Then a second, then a third, each one to someone different. A whistleblower journalist. A military intelligence contact her father once trusted. And the last to General Marcus Tate, the very man who once ran Hawthorne. Each envelope included a piece of the flash drive's contents, but the full upload, that had to be public, unstoppable. 3 days later. Harper sat at a worn-down internet cafe outside Denver. A dusty, flickering terminal was her battlefield. She logged into a private server in Iceland, encrypted, untouchable. Then she uploaded it all, file by file, one click at a time, the kill orders, the memos, the black budgets, the satellite logs, and finally, the photo, her father, Rourke, smiling before it all began. The final upload prompt blinked. "Are you sure you want to publish?" Harper hovered over the key. Somewhere far away, a machine was preparing to react, but she didn't hesitate. She hit enter. The response was immediate. Before she even stepped out of the cafe, it had begun to spread. Reddit threads, independent news outlets, anonymous networks. A whistleblower site labeled it, The Hawthorne Files. Hashtag, #silent. No more. Within 6 hours, it was trending globally. Within 12, it reached the Pentagon. And within 24, Senator Grayson Voss was trending. Not for his campaign speech, but for a decades-long web of covert killings now unraveling in real time. That night, Harper checked into a motel under a fake name. She watched the headlines in silence. Elite Shooter Training Program Exposed. Murder for hire, funded by taxpayers. Who is Harper Lane? She didn't cry. She didn't smile. She just powered down the TV, folded her jacket, and stared at the old Garand resting beside her bed. Her father's rifle. Still unclean, still unavenged. But maybe now, the war he died trying to stop had finally begun. They came for her at 3:12 a.m. Not in uniforms, not in marked vehicles. 3 men, black SUV, no headlights, no hesitation. They kicked the motel door open like they had done it 100 times before. But Harper Lane wasn't in bed. She was already on the roof. The moment her upload went live, she knew it was only a matter of time. She didn't run. She repositioned. She'd spent her entire life studying how predators move and how systems retaliate. The men didn't expect resistance. They expected cleanup. What they got was Harper with a scope trained on their lead operative before he crossed the threshold. She didn't fire. She didn't need to. She dropped a smoke grenade instead, non-lethal, military issue, marked with her father's initials. A message. "I know your playbook. I've seen it before." By the time the smoke cleared, she was gone. The media response was chaos. Grayson Voss denied everything. The Pentagon issued a generic statement about national security concerns. But the documents kept surfacing. Harper had sent too many, too wide, too far. Now, whistleblowers were stepping forward. Ex-shooters, former instructors, even a data analyst from the DC archives. One by one, the cracks deepened, but so did the threat. At a private press conference, General Marcus Tate finally broke silence. He stood before a row of microphones, his face grave. I trained Harper Lane's father. I vouched for Hawthorne. I believed in its mission, but I was wrong. He paused. And she's not a fugitive, she's a patriot. The room exploded with questions. Tate didn't answer them. He walked off stage and got into a nondescript sedan parked 2 blocks away. Inside, Harper was waiting. I need access, she said. Tate handed her a small drive. This leads to the Black Vault, the real one, the list of shooters still active. Rourke? She asked. Tate hesitated. No one's heard from him. He went completely dark. Harper leaned back. He won't stay silent forever. And he didn't. Because 3 days later, her burner phone buzzed. One message. You started a fire. Are you ready to finish it? R attached was a single GPS coordinate, a forest, Northern Virginia. No cell signal, no backup, just her and him. That night, Harper sat with the Garand laid out before her. She cleaned it for the first time since Hawthorne, oiled every groove, recalibrated the scope by hand. Then she did something she hadn't done in years. She whispered, "Dad, I don't know if finishing this means killing him or becoming him." She clicked the rifle shut. The sound echoed like a closing chapter. She packed one bag, loaded one clip, and left for the place where it all began to end. The coordinates led her deep into the Blue Ridge Mountains. It was quiet there, too quiet. No birdsong, no wind, just the crunch of gravel beneath her boots and the whisper of memory. She walked alone, Garand strapped across her back, sidearm holstered, no backup, only resolve. Rourke had chosen the meeting place with purpose. It was the site of their last training op, a cliffside overlook, one way in, one way out. A natural sniper's arena, and Harper knew this wasn't a trap, it was a test, the final one. She reached the summit just after dawn. The sun crawled over the horizon like fire spilling through the trees. There, on the ridge, stood a lone figure, Rourke. He didn't raise a weapon, didn't move, just stood, waiting. Harper stopped 20 paces away. Neither of them spoke. Finally, he nodded to a small wooden box between them. "For your father," he said. She knelt. Inside, a medal, a folded note, and a dog tag engraved Colonel Thomas Lane, code red, deceased, unconfirmed. She stared at it, jaw tight. "He wasn't supposed to die," Rourke said softly. "He was supposed to vanish. But when he tried to go public, Voss made the call. I carried it out." Harper didn't flinch. Her voice was low. "You pulled the trigger." "No," Rourke said. "I gave the location. The bullet came from someone else, but the guilt, that was mine." He looked at her now. No arrogance, no games. Just an old man too tired to lie. "You can end this," he said. Harper stood, gun still holstered. "Why show your face now?" "Because you beat the system," he said. "And the system only listens when blood is spilled." He stepped forward, slowly, and placed a single round on the ground. "I won't run. If this is justice, take it." Harper stared at the round, then at her rifle, then at him. Her breath slowed. Her father had trained her to shoot, to survive, to think. But he never taught her this part, the choice after the final shot. She picked up the round, held it between her fingers, then dropped it. "No," she said. "Justice isn't what I do to you. It's what I already did to the machine." She stepped back. "I want you to live. To watch everything you built fall apart. One leak, one hearing, one shooter at a time." Rourke looked at her, really looked, and smiled. "You're your father's daughter." She turned, walked away, no gunfire, no scream, no drama, just the wind, the trees, and one man left standing in the ruins of his silence. 3 months later. The Senate hearings began. Grayson Voss resigned in disgrace. Hawthorne Elite Range was disbanded. Half the board was indicted. And Harper? She vanished again. Some say she joined the intelligence agency to rebuild it right. Others say she went off-grid, training the next generation in secret. But most believe she simply walked away. Knowing she didn't just take the shot, she changed the target. On the wall of a rebuilt shooting academy in Virginia, a new plaque was installed. Harper Lane, first to break the silence. She could have pulled the trigger, but Harper Lane didn't need a bullet to make history. She didn't become the next assassin. She became the reason there wouldn't be one. Not all heroes wear medals. Some just walk away. If this story moved you, subscribe for more. And remember, silence can be powerful until someone dares to break it.